So yes, welcome back guys to yet another video on the FPL Mike channel. My name is Mike and in this channel is where we talk about all things FPL. And in this video, I'm going to give you some transfer tips. We're going to look at the top transfer in this week and some of the top transfer out this week and some transfer that I think is going to be good, it's going to be a belter. So let's see, let's get straight into it. So first of all is top transfer in, and the first player is none other than Noni Madueke. It went from 0.4% or 0.6% team selected by to 8.3 team selected by. Nearly 700, over 760,000 transfer in. And of course, it's understandable that after such a big haul of 20 points against Wolves, that people always look the points from last week, but they don't really care. Like that's what the recency effect does. So that's what probably caused a lot of people to go and buy Noni Madueke. And I will put a question mark on Noni Madueke because, as we all know, Chelsea have got so many players in every position. So they've got Nicholas Jackson, they've got the Makui guy, they've signed João Felix now. They got Nkunku, Palmer, Pedro Neto, Raheem Sterling, although he's leaving. They got Mikhailo Mudryk. They got Madueke. They got loads of players in their front court, and I'm just not sure whether Madueke is going to be a guaranteed start for the next good run of fixtures of Chelsea. He didn't start the first game, and on the game he scored a hat-trick against Wolves. He only snatched a 0.54 expected goals, and compared to 3 actual goals scored, that is massively overachieving. In fact, 3 goals from the same position, it's just so, it doesn't mean he's a good player, but I think it's also due to the fact that the poor goalkeeping from Jose Sa, the Wolves keeper, because it's not going to replicate. He's not getting 20 points every single week. If he's getting 20 points every single week, like he's going to be in everybody's FPL team. But he's not, and his minutes are not guaranteed. Like Cole Palmer can play on the right, Pedro Neto could play on the right, who is a right winger. Like Madueke got a loads of competition there. So I don't really get why nearly 750,000 people transferring him just because he scored a hat-trick. You have to remember that FPL is not a one-game week game. You got to keep monitor his performance for at least 2 to 3 weeks before, if he gets consistent minutes in the next 2 or 3 weeks, then I'll consider buying him. Of course, you buy him now, he's probably going to start the next game because he just got a hat-trick. But I think long-term, his minutes is at risk, and you can't guarantee he's going to score a hat-trick every single game. So that's one of the reasons I'm not suggesting you to buy Noni Madueke, because his minutes aren't great for me. And the second top transfer in is Emil Smith-Rowe. Again, over 750,000 transfer in. He got a 10 points game. Last game against Leicester, which is ideal, fantastic, it's promising, it's encouraging, and I get why people are getting him. I don't think it's a bad choice, especially you transfer him in for Christopher Nkunku. I think that's absolutely okay. He's just overall a great player. He's slowly building up the match fitness, and I think at this price tag, like if he can keep doing this, or even half what he's doing at this price tag, he's going to be a really, really good player. So I think Emil Smith-Rowe is a good transfer in. And with the next 3-ish set of fixtures, Ipswich away, 2 home games against West Ham and Newcastle, and Forest away are not bad. So I think it's doable to transfer Emil Smith-Rowe in. And I think he's one of the options among the Christopher Nkunku replacement. And I think it's a good transfer if you got him in. Well done to you. And the third player is not surprisingly Cole Palmer. Over 600,000 transfer in. Nearly 40% of people select him, making him the top owned players in that midfield. 1 goal, 3 assists by Cole Palmer. 17 points, big haul. But again, similar to Madueke, 3 assists are 0.15 XA. which is not ideal. But we know how good Cole Palmer is. We know he's such a player. He can do the job. He can play the number 10. He can play the right wing. He's got the ability to deliver the ball you need. And he is the top scoring player among all fantasy, or among all players. So Cole Palmer is a kind of transfer that it really depends on who you're transferring him out for. If it's a Heung-min Son, I think it's doable because the next two fixtures aren't particularly great for Heung-min Son and Spurs. And Cole Palmer got Palace at home and Bournemouth away, which is good. But I think if you're taking a hit to get Cole Palmer in, I don't think that's worth it or that's deserve it, because that means you have to get funds from anywhere else, or you're downgrading one of Haaland or Salah, and I don't think there's a much need or a need of that, because they've got good fixtures, Salah and Haaland, and they can pretty much do as good as or even better than Cole Palmer. So if you're taking a hit to get Cole Palmer, I don't think it's needed or is necessary. But I think it's on a free transfer. You just want to get the Chelsea good fixtures. I think it's doable for Cole Palmer. We all know he's a really, really good player. But for me, I just wouldn't go for him first because I don't have the free transfer. I've made it on Christopher Nkunku. And second of all, I don't think he's worth a 10.5. Or maybe he is, but we've got to wait and see until the end of the season, right? But overall, I think he's like a 6 out of 10 decent transfer. But it really depends on who you transfer him in for. And yeah. And the fourth player is Danny Welbeck. Goal in both games, 21 points, 10.5 points per match. Nearly 600, over 600,000 people were transferring him in. Danny Welbeck, short term, could be good, but after the game week 3, I think his minutes could completely at risk, because the likes of Evan Ferguson is coming back, and you've got Rutter, the new signing, and João Pedro, who could also play the number 9 role. I think Danny Welbeck minutes might not guarantee, but who knows? If he keeps scoring goal every single game, he's going to be in the number 9 role forever. But just overall, I think similar to Madueke, short-term minutes are pretty much guaranteed, but long-term, I'm just not sure. I think his minutes could get reduced, especially if you buy him now, it's probably for the game week 4 and 5 fixture punt. But if he didn't start in those games, then it's going to be a problem for you. I'll suggest, and especially before Arsenal, there's no reason to transfer him in for the game of Arsenal. So, yeah, we got to wait and see. He's probably not starting against Arsenal. It's probably João Pedro and Rutter who plays the number 10 role. So, I think it's kind of a rush to bring Danny Welbeck in, especially in the front of the tough fixtures. I think what I'll suggest you is to observe one more week to see if he plays against Arsenal and how good he plays. If he plays 80 plus minutes and he still perform well, then that's the time to truly consider bringing Danny Welbeck, because of the fixture run upcoming game week 4 and 5 against Ipswich and Nottingham Forest at home. And last but not least, Erling Haaland, over 500,000 transfer in, price gone up from 15 million to 15.1 million, hat-trick against Ipswich, 1.8 expected goal, 60% team selected by. I think most of the people to get in Haaland is taking a hit. And is it worth it? And most likely transferring Salah out. Is it worth it? I don't know. The honest answer is I don't know. Because in the next 3 fixtures, I can see both players getting probably the same amount of point. And I even think Salah's going to get more point than Haaland, because of the Arsenal fixtures on the Man City paper. So I don't know. If you're taking a -4, even a -8 hit for getting Erling Haaland, I'm not sure you'll get paid in the next 3 weeks, or even in 4. After 7 is a good fixture run for City. That's probably the time you thinking bring him in, or changing from a Salah draft to a Haaland draft. But for now, I think you just stick with the start of the season. Like, you go for a Salah draft, keep going with it, because Salah in first 5 or 6 fixtures are just as good or even better than Haaland's fixtures. and I think just stick with it. Both players got 24 points, and I just think you just got to keep observing. I know Haaland's getting almost going to get goals in every game, but Salah ain't bad, you know. Salah ain't bad either. So I'm not going to take a hit to get Haaland in. Unless you could get him in on a free transfer, but I don't think that's what most of people's case. So I don't really think it's necessary to get Haaland in right now, but I completely understand why people's doing it. And the top transfer out this week is Alexander Isak, with nearly 680,000 transfer out. He's down to 50% owned. Didn't only get one returns in the last two games. I think Newcastle looks a little bit poor in the first two game weeks. I don't know. It's because the team is not ready yet, or it's because Tonali's not back, or any other reasons. The whole Newcastle team doesn't look good, but I don't think there's a rush of getting out Isak unless you're on a wild card. Because he's still a promising player. He's a good pick. We know what he can do. We know what he can do from last season. So there's not a rush to get him out unless you're in a wild card. And I think nearly 700 transfer out, it just panic moves for most of the people, because people are lack of patience on some players nowadays. And that's one of the most important lessons I've learned in the past few FPL seasons. It's gonna be, you gotta go patience, because if Isak scores 2 goals against Spurs, suddenly everybody's going to transfer in again, and then you just miss that. Like, you just miss that point. Like, if you transfer Isak out now. So I think it's a rush. It's a rush move. It's a panic move, and I don't think this is necessary. There's a necessary to do it unless you're on a wild card. Second top transfer out is Dominic Solanke. Its majority is because of the injury, and I get it. I don't think it's a bad transfer out, especially with the upcoming fixtures. And if he can't play this week, Arsenal away. Arsenal home is not a particularly good fixtures. So I completely get why you're transferring Solanke out, and that's understandable. And nearly 590,000 of the people have done it, so I totally understand it. And it's a good move. It's a good move to get him out. Before his price potentially dropping. And the third player is Everett Eze. Same thing with Nkunku as a panic move. He's got the chances. He's got 7 shots last game again. He hit the bar once. A disallowed free kick in the first game. It just panic moves because people don't have the patience to wait for Eze to do good. And he's got the ability to do good. So if you have him in your team, hold it. I'll say hold it. Hold it until at least game week 4 for the Leicester home fixtures. He's going to get returns for you eventually. So don't worry too much. Don't panic too much. Especially don't take a hit to get transferring Eze out. And yeah, I think it's another panic move for a lot of people. And nearly over 560,000 people have done it. It's just a panic move for me. And the fourth player is Nkunku, and that's definitely yes, because now we have to admit that Christopher Nkunku is probably just a bad pick because of the amount of attackers Chelsea got in that front court. And he got subbed on, only played 7 minutes in game week 2. He played the midweek game again in the Conference League. Qualifying final. So I get him. Transfer him out. He's not a good pick anymore until we see consecutive minutes from Christopher Nkunku. Otherwise, he's not a good pick. Transferring him out. There are some good Nkunku replacement like Morgan Gibbs-White, Leon Bailey, Morgan Rogers, and Emil Smith-Rowe. It's one of those 4 if you don't have money left in the bank. If you've got money in the bank left, I suggest you to go up to a Mbeumo for a short punt in game week 3 could be good. Like an Eze, I don't mind Eze at all. Or even a 7.5 like a Jota or a Gordon. So Nkunku is an out for me. He's not the player that we think he is. And the last player is Phil Foden, who's ill, currently ill at the moment. Didn't play, nearly over 500,000 transfer out. Completely get it. He might not play next game. Uh, Again, it's because of the short-term effect, I guess. But I don't think it's a bad move because a 7-9, a 9.5, he didn't play in your team is a bit too luxurious. So getting him out is completely understandable. And yeah, Phil Foden should be out for most of the people if you got him, because that you will consider getting him back in an international break or even on wild card, because after, if he didn't start against West Ham, there isn't too great of a fixtures run until game week 7. So yeah, he's a transfer out for me. And let's look at some of the other top transfer this game week and which one I think is worth doing it. João Pedro, not in front of the Arsenal game. I won't do that. It's going to be next week for me for João Pedro, because Arsenal, I'm benching him in anyway. Morgan Rogers is a good replacement for Nkunku, but he passed the eye test, but we don't know whether he can get enough returns for you, because I think the hype now around Morgan Rogers is too big, and I don't think he's the type of player that can reach that hype. He's a good player. He's a really, really good player, but I don't think he's going to give you quite loads of as much as of returns as a lot of people would expect him to get. So yeah, but overall, it's a good transfer, Morgan Rogers, especially the upcoming fixtures for Aston Villa. And for Wout Faes, it's just a no, like, idiot move. I'm sorry, but wasting a transfer on a 4 mil defender is not worth it. Especially he's going to sit rot on your bench in the next 10 game weeks, and he didn't got a good fixture yet. He's probably going to be a 4th or 5th defender. You're not going to play him whatsoever. So there's no point wasting a transfer on Wout Faes, especially if you've taken a hit to get him in. That's even more idiot action. So no, don't waste your money on a 4 mil defender. David Raya, understandable. Arsenal defense are surprisingly good. But the upcoming fixture run, I just wouldn't expect much clean sheets. Actually none of them in game week 3 until 5. I think in game week 6 is where at the time you get Arsenal players in, but not now. Overall, I think he's a great option there. He's a great option there. Yeah, Robinson, a very, very good transfer for the short fixture punt. Porro and Romero is no needed because the fixtures come in run. Mazraoui, no needed as well, I think. De Bruyne is actually a pretty good transfer. I really like De Bruyne. Saka, there's no need due to the fixture run. Matoma is interesting, especially in game week 4 and 5. But for now, in front of Arsenal, I just don't think it's necessary. And yeah, that's pretty much it of today's transfer tip video. And tomorrow, I will show you my game week 3 deadlines team, game week 3 final team selection, which nothing changed basically. I just made a transfer and Nkunku out, and I got Leon Bailey in before the price drop happened on Sunday. So yeah, that concludes today's video, and thank you guys very much for watching. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.